Aristotle by Ariel Urmson. Aristotle's early life. Aristotle was born in 384 BC in Stagira, northern Greece. His father Nicomachus and his mother died when he was young, so he was probably raised at his family's home in Stagira, but no one's really sure about that. Plato's Academy. At 17 years old, Aristotle enrolled in Plato's Academy in Athens. He spent 20 years there learning and teaching and left his legacy. Aristotle left Plato's Academy soon after Plato died in 347 BC. Plato's nephew took over the academy, and no one is really sure if this is what led to Aristotle's leave. Aristotle's married life. After leaving Plato's academy, Aristotle went to the coast of Asia Minor, where he spent 5 years. While there, Aristotle met his wife Pythias. Together they had their only daughter, who was named after her mother, Alexander the Great. In 342 BC, King Philip II summoned Aristotle to tutor the king's son, Alexander. From 13 to 14 years old, Alexander was tutored by Aristotle. He was tutored away from the royal court at Mieza. Alexander became Alexander the Great later on because of his military abilities. Beauty. Aristotle's philosophy of art looks at the forms and structures. He was mostly interested in theater and tragedy. He was interested in comedy, but all those works have been lost. His question was, what makes this piece of art work? Aristotle agreed with Plato that beauty is objective. Freedom. Aristotle thought an action could be called free if it was not done two ways: because of external compulsion, meaning that they were forced or pushed to do the action, or because of ignorance, they didn't know what they were doing. I believe that this is true because if people are forced to do something, then they are not doing that freely. I do not fully agree that an action is not free if they do not know what they're doing, though. If they're doing something without being forced, then that action is free because they are freely going to do something knowing that they don't fully understand what's going on. So the action is still free. Nature of society. Aristotle said, man is a social animal. He believes that humans are dependent on each other. People need to live with others, and most people like to live together. People need organization and communities that provide that. I agree with this. People need each other in interactions. There are very few people who want to be completely alone, and they are mostly angry and sad. Most people want to be with other people, and when they're not, their mind makes them go crazy because they need that interaction. Metaphysics of Aristotle. The world we live in is real, and there is no other world. Reality and appearance are not separate worlds, but are forms of the same world. He believed that the universe was a huge organism searching for knowledge about itself. He came up with the word substances, since they are nothing more than just things in the world. Self. To have a good life, emotions are essential. In the right moments, people get the right emotion. Self, soul, and emotions are not separate, but emotions are part of the self. A person's self is nothing less than the entirety of the whole person. A person's self is not just themselves, but with other people. I agree with this because people like to be a part of a community, which is a self itself. So that whole community is just filled with a bunch of people having their own selves, and they make one self with that whole community. Sexism. Aristotle believed that men were superior to women. He believed men could fulfill their potential as a human while women could not. He said men were active and women were passive. Aristotle said, so it is naturally with the male and female, the one is superior, the other inferior. The one governs, the other is governed. The same rule must necessarily hold good with respect to all mankind. I do not agree with his view on this. Although when he was alive, the world was very different and women do not do what they do today, so I can see why he was sexist. Because women back then weren't able to do the things that we do today. We couldn't own businesses, couldn't own land, which is in part because men didn't let us, but still in that time, it's understandable to understand why he thought this. But in the context of today, I believe men and women are equal, not in everything, but as people as a whole. Women can do things that men cannot, and men can do things that women cannot. But it doesn't mean that one of them is superior to the other one. Aristotle's death. In 323 BC, Aristotle died a little north of Athens. He requested to be buried next to his wife. She had died a few years before he did, sadly. He left behind a son, Nicomachus. Nicomachus' mother was Aristotle's slave scrupulous.